the essence of Ambassador Club International, and what, in talking about the history of the Washington Ambassador Club, by extension, we're talking about the history of National Ambassador Club USA. We are, please make a note of this, Mario. We started off as the most international ambassador club ever since 1956. We were formed with the representation of, count them, 7 countries and 8 members. Our first president was from Germany. Our first vice president was from Canada. Our first secretary was from Finland. And then membership-wise, we had Austria, we had Jamaica. I think I'm missing a country. Is anybody counting with me? And we had the Netherlands, the down under. And of course, yours truly represented the United States of America. There was no way we were going to incorporate an international body in Washington, D.C. without having an American member. So that was the hook, and that's how it all got started. And we felt proud of ourselves because we, first of all, we were established in the historic setting of the Willett Hotel. Now, for those of you who know a little bit about the Willett Hotel, it is a historic hotel. It's a block and a couple of leaps from the White House on the east side of the White House. It's a very expensive place, incidentally, to start a club in. And we eventually moved to the west side of the White House to the historic building Decor Foundation House, Diplomat and Consular Officers Retired, where we have been for the last, I think it's been the last 12, close to 14 years of our 18 years of existence. I thought about Genesis. So maybe I could say, and Jim begat Paul, and Paul begat John.
You're not that old, Jim.
But successive generation-wise, we're working on it. But one of the things that we realized very early on was after we got comfortable with the 8 to 12 of us in our regular meetings, was that no one person is an island in the business of international communications and extending communications across borders. So we started to reach out and we expanded ourselves from the average of 8 to 12 to now we are going up to 24 to 25 with a paid membership, close your ears, Eric, paid membership as we speak of 21. We might have increased that by another in the last meeting, correct, Paul?
Yes.
And to touch on your point, Mario, about reaching out to our children and our grandchildren, we did that. There's my daughter. There's my daughter. There's my granddaughter. There's Dan Coyette's daughter, who is an officer in the what used to be Tidewater Club. You are now the treasurer, correct?
Yes.
And on and on and on. We are successive generation oriented. I feel very good about what we have accomplished because we have now stabilized ourselves to the point that we can realize the attendance that you see here this morning. We have just welcomed our first new club after we talked about our strategy of big building, initiating, and growing. And as you heard John mention, we are already thinking about number 5. Oh yes, yeah, we've been there before also. We had a club in New York, and we had a club in San Diego, and we even went across the border and we went up to Ottawa, and we had a club in Ottawa. But our lesson learned there was when you establish a club, establish it close enough so that you can nurture it. You've got to be there. And of course, that's the whole idea. So I congratulate John on taking a geographic approach at this so that we can maintain that first name, one being able to visit each other on a regular basis. The other thing that I appreciated in establishing our presence here was the support we got from not only the management of the International Ambassador Club, but also our partners. Now, the interesting part of our development is this morning we have our friends representing the Manila Ambassador Club, and part of our history is connected to the Philippine Ambassador Club. We have sitting at the table over here the former president of the International Ambassador Club. When I became the national president, when we became eligible to be the national, Paul Bennett was the international president, and I remember getting in touch with him and saying, okay, you speak English, tell me quick, what am I supposed to do now? So we were invited to join him at this table, and during, as you were turning over the presidency to Martin Swartz, and when we were in Wien, when the presidency was turned over to, I believe you assumed the presidency in Wien, did you not, Paul?
Which year are we talking?
What year are we talking?
2002, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was at that session when you became president that France and I shared the table for the last evening. So what am I saying? All of these names that I've just thrown out, I would have never known about them had it not been for Ambassador Club International. When you ask, what is in it for me? Well, that's one avenue of what's in it for you. Now, I mentioned our colleagues from the Philippines. We have a very close relationship with our Philippine club because the members of the International Ambassador Club who introduced me to it also were the two that established the club 10 years before we started in Washington, in Manila. And I had the fortune of being assigned to a posting abroad with one of them, and he happened to be reassigned to Washington when I was returning to Washington. We were golf partners, and he said, other than golf, Jim, have you guys thought about establishing an ambassador club? And he told me all about what they had done in the Philippines. And it was because of my very good friend, Paul Curling, who is with the club in Minster, I believe.
Yes.
Who established the clubs in Manila. That we established a very close working relationship. After that, Paul Tyson traveled with me, and we had an opportunity to meet Peter Sue and all of the other members of the club who say, since you are arriving in the Philippines, give us your flight information. Wait, back up, we're already taken care of, but they took care of the rest of our stay there. Thank you all for your support, and the support we all look forward to continuing to receive on building the presence of Ambassador Club International. This is a good example of what's in it for us. Now, as I say that, I will close by saying I did a pretty good job of saying, John, it's your turn. And John has manifested that it's working. I say to Paul, last week, wasn't it? Paul, it's your turn at the end of the year to take over Ambassador Club in Washington, D.C.
Wait, he got 2 weeks notice?
So the next voice you hear at the next conference as the president of the Ambassador Club of Washington, D.C. will be that of Paul Tyson, and his backup will be none other than our newly designated Vice President, Frederica Dunn. There's a very good chance you'll see both of them in bodies. We're working on it. Thank you for the opportunity, thanks for the time, and congratulations to everybody, and a particular congratulations and thanks to Mary for having done an exemplary job of putting this together.